Welcome to Pensare Basketball. Jason Tatum is back on the court. What does that mean for the Boston Celtics? Brandon Ingram has been selected to an all-star game. We covered it yesterday, but Brandon Ingram met with the Toronto media and he dropped a pretty major hint in terms of what the Raptors fans can expect from him in the second half of the season after the all-star break. And I get a feeling that it could mean some very good things for the Toronto Raptors. Also, as it pertains to the Toronto Raptors, the NBA did dish out their suspensions. We'll take a look at what Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren actually got. I'd love to tell you that the Raptors face the Pistons 3 times in the next 6, 7 games. That's not the case. The Raptors are only going to benefit this once. They've already played Charlotte all their games. So the Musa Diabate and Miles Bridges suspensions do not impact the Raptors at all. We'll talk about what Ingram 2.0 will mean. We'll talk a little bit about AJ DeBonsa, Carter Bryant going off yesterday. We'll get into that a little bit as well. And we will talk about NBA expansion. The NBA expansion is becoming a very real thing, and there could be 2 teams in the NBA very soon. What will that mean for teams like the Toronto Raptors that are trying to build through the draft and depth? You can only protect up to 8 players, and you can lose one. So teams like OKC, sorry to say, your embarrassment of riches, that's probably going to be the first pick in the draft. Nikola Topic, Thomas Sorber. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. And also one more thing, we had a pretty fantastic episode on Players Choice today. But L host Ron forgot to read the super chats at the end because he was so mad that Ox said that Cooper Flag was better than Victor Wembanyama. Don't you worry, because right after the show, I got you covered. I took a snapshot of every single super chat, and even the ones that are insulting me, we'll get to all of those right towards the end of the show. And hang on, man. I forgot to press play. Okay, so let's get to Brandon Ingram, L host me. I am a solo act here trying to.
Been at your best basically throughout your
Brandon,
health.
Yeah, it was definitely one of my goals to make All Star. I thought after the summer that I had and coming into the season, I knew it was going to be some time where I was going to be a little bit rusty, but I knew I was going to find it sooner or later. I knew it was going to be before All Star, but you know, I didn't count on making All Star, but I knew I was still coming off injury. I was one of the better players in the league, so I knew I had a chance.
And is there someone you've had a chance or someone you want to reach out to and thank or uh, help, you know,
Yeah,
it takes a village to raise these guys?
for sure. I want to thank the player development. I want to thank the training staff for, not only getting me healthy, but keeping me healthy and checking in every single day. I want to thank the organization for believing in me, and my teammates for believing in me and putting me in the right positions to be the best I can on the basketball floor. The coaches for pushing me every single day and telling me the things that I need to hear. And of course, my family who believes in me, who believed in me since I picked up a basketball. My team at home, my brothers from Kinston, North Carolina. And I'm gonna shout out my girl because she's gonna be mad if I don't shout out her. All the attitude that I bring her every single day. Uh, and, her work ethic pushes me to be better too. So I want to thank all those people and everybody that believed in me. So,
You talked a lot of early in the season, especially about giving yourself some grace to understand you were, just getting back to playing and getting back to being yourself. Do you feel like you're all the way down that path now, or where do you see room to get further?
well, I'm motivated. I wasn't selected to be an all-star right away. I was a replacement. So I'm motivated. I'm inspired by that, and you know, you know, I'm I'm not where I want to be at this point of the season for sure. But like I said, I give myself grace because I haven't played at all last year. But I know every time that I step on the floor, every time that I come on the floor and put this work in, that I'm evolving, and I want to do something more. I want to be a better defensive player. I want to shoot the basketball off the dribble a little bit better. I want to do everything better. So, I think the second half of the season is a good time to show who I can be and who I'm evolving to be even more.
so we're going to talk a lot more about what Ingram 2.0 is going to look like. We're going to talk about what some of the small things that he can do to make himself a better player. I don't think he's played his best basketball yet. And honestly, I think that him playing his best basketball is a scary sight for the Eastern Conference for the rest of the East. I think with Trace Jackson Davis in tow, because the center spot has been such a weakness for the Toronto Raptors, I truly believe with Jakob Poeltl coming back, Scottie and BI leveling up, maybe RJ getting a little healthy, there is a small chance that the Raptors could be special. Speaking of special, man, I salute my own draft takes sometimes. Carter Bryant really went off yesterday. Victor Wembanyama went off as well. A lot of people messaging me when Carter goes off. I'll tell you a quick story about Carter. Um, I remember I had my draft board up and I put up it was like I had all the potential outcomes of a player: starter, benched player, superstar, bust, right? I had a very low bust potential for Carter because I had gotten to know Carter a little bit. I gotten to know his dad a little bit. And I just didn't think that there was a world. I didn't think there was a world in which this guy wasn't going to be at least a competent role player in the NBA. But I remain very optimistic about his shooting upside, his ball handling evolution, just some of the early reps that he might have lost due to injury in high school. And I put his superstar upside at like 3%. And he hit me up and he was like, that's too low. I am so all in on this idea that Carter is going to be one of the best players in this draft. So I'm very, very happy for him. And I do trust my scouting eval. I'm going to take you a little bit into some of the stuff that I really believe in when it comes to players. And no, it is not the jump shot, because there's plenty of players that I believed in that weren't very good shooters. Peyton Watson is one of them. Dyson Daniels is one of them. And this dude right here, who is taking a really big step up recently, is AJ Debonsa, who had 35 plus points last night, 35 points last night against Baylor. Huge performance. The way he is processing the game right now has been so impressive for me. And, shout outs to AJ. I think he's separating himself as a clear number one in this draft. I know a lot of people are all in on Darren, but availability counts. It counts a lot, okay? It counts until it doesn't, until it's time to make a case for why it doesn't matter, but it absolutely matters. Speaking of availability and young wings that I believed in the draft, Jonathan Mobo went off last night. Career high 35 points, career high 14 field goals made. J-Mo has always been a late bloomer. This is a guy who had a late growth spurt. The Toronto Raptors invested the 31st overall pick in him. A lot of people were mad about it. Kyle Filipowski. But you know what? I got to tell you, one of the reasons I support Jonathan Mobo, same reason I support Peyton Watson, same reason I support Carter Bryant, same reason I support AJ Debonsa. Here's what I support. Okay, this is really going to come down to something very wu-wei and somewhat philosophical. What I support: good people, team first, God first, hard workers, humble risers, winners, competitors. You have the dog mentality, okay? Invite contact. I don't like anyone who shies away from contact, get bumped one time, and just, quit the rest of the game. Defensive focus. Do you care about defense? High IQ, high motor, clutch gene. Do you show up when it counts? Do you show up when it matters? Can I count on you to show up in the fourth quarter? Positional versatility. Can you guard at least 2 to 3 positions? I do love that in prospects. Portability. How do you fit in with different lineups, or do I have to orient everything and mess everything up just to accommodate you? And finally, the final thing that I absolutely support is adaptability, which is to say, are you okay coming off the bench once in a while? You know what I mean? Are you okay when you jump from one system to another? If your team is inviting, a new player into the fold, are you someone who is willing to adapt to that? Now, today on the panel, we talked a lot about the modern NBA. I had this take that I thought the league was in a really good place. That I personally, having now watched Anthony Edwards for about 6 years, watching Wemby for about 5 years, watching Scottie for about almost 10 years now, watching Cade for about 7 years. I've been watching these kids come up through high school, college. I've been listening to their interviews. I see what they're about. I see who they model their game after. Shea is another one. I believe that the league is in a great place. I didn't love where the league was in 2010. I really worried where the league would go after Kobe. And my hope was that Kawhi and Kevin Durant would step into that big hole that was there, right? In 2013, 2014, the leadership of the league moved pretty much from Kobe to LeBron. And I do believe that LeBron is not singularly responsible for this. I understand that people are just going to call me a traumatized LeBronto fan. I promise you that's not it. LeBron has brought a lot of good to the league. He's socially active. I don't know how you feel about that. Some people love it, some people hate it, but that's a good thing for him. He keeps his nose clean. He's not somebody who's consistently in the off-court drama. You don't really hear about him at strip clubs. You don't hear about him coming into seasons out of shape, and that is good. But LeBron is very self-serving in his own agendas. The way he works through the media, the way he orients narratives, the way he'll show up after, a tough loss wearing a cast on his hand, being like, yeah, I was hurt the whole time. The way he bullshits about reading. I just don't like it personally. This is not me hating. I can respect the player and not love the player. Okay. I've never loved LeBron James like that. Not since like 2007, 2008 was I ever on LeBron like that. I preferred throughout most of his prime, I have preferred Kevin Durant. Throughout most of his prime, I have preferred Kawhi Leonard. That's just where I'm at. So personally, as LeBron leaves the league, I see the league going into the hands of people that I respect a lot more for their competitive juice. Victor Wembanyama, the dude who wants to kill everybody, the dude who wants to go out and embarrass you, the dude who just he's gonna play hard in the All-Star game. This matters. But there is another player that never gets his love and his shine. And I got to tell you, the last 25 to 30 games is always the awards push. Who's the defensive player of the year? Who's the MVP? These games are going to matter a lot when it comes to those narratives. And sometimes the narrative is going to come down to the story you can tell. Sometimes it's going to come down to something more. It's going to come down to the numbers, the analytics, the record. And yes, the Raptors have to be good for Brandon Ingram and Scottie Barnes and Colin Murray-Boyles to potentially get into some of those award talks. Colin Murray-Boyles has a chance for all rookie. I think Scottie Barnes has a lock right now as it stands for all NBA defensive teams. But what about that third team all defense? We're seeing so many players who are going to miss the eligibility mark. So if Scottie is in fact the top 20 player, he should be a lock for all NBA, right? It should be a lock for all NBA. So I'm going to tell you how I feel about this. And this is something that I wrote yesterday. Okay. And some people are going to call this propaganda, but I'm going to call it a letter from the heart. Okay. You say bring back good basketball, right? I hear a lot of old heads saying, bring back the basketball that I used to enjoy. When guys competed, they didn't just launch threes. They studied the game. They played off of teammates and they showed up every single night. Bring back the NBA where guys wanted to compete with each other, not team up and play buddy-buddy, where the best players actually guarded the best players. They took that on themselves as a personal challenge to show themselves and show the world, this dude ain't me. Where every second shot taken wasn't a three, and when every player didn't bring the same drama, didn't bring more drama than the Kardashians. You say this shit, but then you disrespect Scottie Barnes. He leads his team in distance traveled every single year. Did it even as a rookie. Defense, offense. He takes the toughest matchup every single night now that OG is in New York. He guards 1 through 5. You want him to guard centers? Cool. You want him to guard Steph Curry? Cool. You want him to guard Anthony Edwards? Cool. You want him to guard Jalen Brunson? Cool. Just 100% ethical hoops. No grifting, no flopping, no complaining. Among that historic 2021 NBA draft class, which featured so many stars, Scottie Barnes has more points than Cade. He's second to only Evan Mobley in blocks. He's second to only Herb Jones in steals. He's top 3 in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, win shares, added, and value of replacement. LeBron did not do this. Michael didn't do this. You say the league is soft. He is not. You say no one defends, and he anchors the top clutch defense in the league. You say modern stars bring drama, but no, not Scottie. No trade whispers, no coach killing, and 0 teammates have been slandered under his watch. No leaks, no rumors, nothing. You hate stat padding. You hate the stat padding, right? Oh, empty calories. How many parlays of yours, if you're a sports bettor, has he killed because he just made the right play? No grifting, no nonsense, just 100% every single night. Best teammate in the league. His teammates will tell you, anyone who's played with him, with the exception of maybe Fred VanVleet, would tell you, this dude is old school basketball. Stamped by Jason Kidd, stamped by Charles Barkley, stamped by Magic Johnson, stamped by Ticket, stamped by Kyle Lowry the GOAT. But no respect from the casual fan. Scottie Barnes is the exact opposite of everything you claim to hate about the modern NBA. So I got to ask, do you really hate the modern NBA? I don't think so. I don't think you hate the modern NBA. I think you are the modern NBA if you hate Scottie Barnes. So, y'all PRA merchants, this is ethical hoops. This is a dude who competes every single night. And I'm gonna actually be in my bag when it comes to the all NBA push, because I don't even trust the Raptors like that. I really don't. Because when it comes to all NBA, I'm gonna make sure that videos that I make in the next 2 months push the storyline. Speaking of storylines, one of my favorite players in the NBA is back. He is on the court and he is getting ready. And we have spent the last 2 panel episodes talking about Jason Tatum coming back. Should he come back? Should he not come back? This is a complicated problem because the Boston Celtics are surprisingly good and the East is pretty wide open for good teams. Now, that's always the caveat. It's not wide open. It's wide open if you're already a good team. It's wide open for New York. It's wide open for Detroit. It's wide open for Boston. The Boston Celtics right now are 4th in terms of schedule adjusted plus minus, the SRS stat. They are top 5 in net rating. They are number 10 in defense, number 2 in offense, and they have the slowest pace in the league. I believe, as I said on the panel today, that Jason Tatum can make a successful comeback. He won't be the same player. Maybe he can't guard 1 through 4 like he used to. Cool. He'll bulk up and he'll guard 2 to 5, 3 to 5. No problem. He's evolved tremendously as a passer last year. I think that's going to help him adapt to his new role. Maybe he can become a better shooter. This is a guy who's a 37% career three-point shooter. Yeah, he's had a couple struggle seasons so far, but I do believe that in a limited role with less defensive responsibility, that's going to matter. Jason Tatum brings it on both ends. Like Scottie Barnes, like a lot of players that I respect, this is not a guy who takes plays off on defense so he can preserve his legs for offense. Casuals want to point to shot percentages like they have nothing to do with the rest of the game, but that's just not how basketball works. And if you've ever played, you know that if you have the job of guarding the other team's best player and you play every single night like Jason Tatum does, and you play heavy minutes like Jason Tatum does, I'm sorry, you're not going to have the same legs that Luka Doncic does. You're not going to have the same legs that Jokic does because his job on one end is so hard. It impacts his job on the other end. My view on this would be the Boston Celtics need to lessen his role defensively. They need to lessen the burden defensively. They need to bring him back slowly. But if he comes back and he makes a successful recovery for the Boston Celtics, I believe this team could make the finals. And I think that's why he's coming back. I think he's coming back because he's a competitor, because he wants to challenge himself, but also because his team has a shot. I mentioned this yesterday on the panel that, frankly, injuries like this can shape and shake you. It can make you value possessions, value single playoff runs. He doesn't know that he's not going to tear his Achilles. But you know what? If he doesn't come back, what if Jaylen Brown tears his Achilles? What if Derek White tears his ACL? Shit happens in the playoffs. It could happen to anybody. So at this point, my team is good. I'm being paid $60 million and I'm healthy enough to play. Why wouldn't I play? Because I'm scared? Well, if I'm scared, I can't keep claiming to be Mamba mentality, right? Speaking of Mamba mentality, there is another player in the Eastern Conference that says Kobe Bryant was his favorite player. It's not just Jason Tatum. It's also this dude on the screen, the one on the right, Scottie Barnes. I'm going to need y'all to dial up a little bit, Scottie. That performance against Indiana, that performance against Golden State, that performance against Cleveland. You can't just see red when it's time, when you want to, you can't just pick and choose. You got to be consistently dominant. I think Scottie Barnes needs to frame one word in his mind right now, which is dominant. If you don't stop me, I'm going through the lane. Scottie has a huge load defensively. I think Trace Jackson-Davis and a healthy Jakob Poeltl and Colin Murray-Boyles potentially coming back in the fold is going to lessen his load defensively, and I think it's going to allow him to boost his numbers a little bit offensively. I do believe All-NBA is very much in the cards. I do believe that the storytelling and the coverage from the Toronto media, of which I am somewhat on the outside part of, will matter. I think there needs to be a positive press for Scottie. I think there needs to be positive press and results for the Raptors. I do think at some point they need to start beating good teams, and I think that should start tonight. You won't believe this. The Raptors are actually favored by Vegas against the Pistons tonight. I can't tell you why that is, but I was thinking about this game a lot over the last couple of days, the narratives that would come out of it. It seems to me the Toronto Raptors right now are in a lose-lose situation. If you beat the Pistons, they'll say, well, the Pistons weren't healthy. Jalen Duren was missing. He's an all-star. Isaiah Stewart would have clamped Scottie. And if you lose, it's even worse somehow because now they won't shut up about how you lost to Jalen Duren, a Durenless and Stewartless Pistons team, and that we need to blow it up. I hate games like this. I hate games like this because, like Scottie, I am also a competitor. I do not mind if my favorite player goes out and gets clamped by Isaiah Stewart because he'll learn from that. He'll grow from that. It ain't the end of the world. A lot of people want to duck smoke. A lot of people think it's a blessing that the Raptors have faced these super injured teams. I'm not one of those people. I don't think, obviously, if I'm being selfish here, give me 1 second. I gotta clear my throat. This clock adds a lot of pressure here, man. The clock does not wait for me to clear my throat or gather my thoughts. I just got to keep going. You might see it as a good thing. And if monetarily, I'm speaking just for money, we get more views after a win than a loss because nobody wants to hear about the loss, but everyone wants to celebrate the win. But me personally, I wish the Raptors faced healthy teams. I wish Luka had played so Scottie could guard him. I want us to face healthy teams. I am one Raptor fan who is not celebrating that Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart are out tonight because personally, I wanted them to play and I wanted us to beat them because that's when it will count. Okay. Speaking of what is going on with Detroit right now, the NBA has announced suspensions and it's not great, but it's a lot better than some people thought. Isaiah Stewart, the repeat offender in this situation, gets 7 games. Miles Bridges gets 4 games. Moussa Diabate gets 4 games, and Jalen Duren, who started it all, gets 2 games. Do I agree with this? Hell no, I don't agree with this. Now, obviously, let me add some full disclosure. My favorite player here is Isaiah Stewart. My second favorite player here is Moussa Diabate. My third favorite player here is Jalen Duren. My least favorite player here is Miles Bridges. I can give a shit less. Personally, none of these guys are on my team, but for real, I do believe Jalen Duren deserves a little bit more for instigating this whole thing. You shove a dude's face like he's like a volleyball. You start the whole thing. You duck the smoke. Then you get sucker punched by Miles Bridges, which prompts your big brother, which is Isaiah Stewart, to come off the bench because you can't handle business. I think what we just found out about Jalen Duren is he can't stand on his nuts right now, and he's a young kid. He'll learn from this, and he's a big dude. And you know what? Shout outs to Cade. Sometimes talk shit about Cade, but I give Cade his flowers. He was really mature and sensible through that whole thing. But also, Detroit basketball. What are y'all doing? I said this to Chill yesterday, and I feel like it makes a lot of sense. If I have Isaiah Stewart on my team, given his track record, and this is not me maligning the guy, because from what I hear, and I know a couple of people who work with him in the offseason, nicest guy in the world. Nicest dude you'll ever meet, period. Best teammate ever. I would give so many first-round picks for that dude to be on my team. Love Isaiah Stewart. No shade on Isaiah Stewart. But if that dude is on my team and I'm an assistant coach, the first thing I'm doing when this brawl breaks out is I'm looking at him and I'm sending him to the back. I don't care if you're the enforcer. You're on the bench. You can't go into this. I think there's sort of like an institutional identity with the Pistons, the bad boy Pistons. They all grow up looking at those banners. They see it. This is where I think the DNA of past champions comes through. You can see the current Spurs and you can see evidence that Tim Duncan was here, right? You can see, obviously, in the Toronto Raptors' current kumbaya spirits that Kyle Lowry existed, that he was here, that We the North did happen. This is institutional. Unfortunately for the Pistons, a lot of their institutional history and DNA is pretty much tied up in this scrappy underdog outsider mentality. Personally, I love it. I love that the team has a team like the league has a team like the Pistons. I love that they don't back down. I love that they stand for each other. But in the interim, this is probably bad because Isaiah Stewart is more important than people realize to that team. And I think he's just going to be very missed tonight and going forward for the next 6 games. I think the Pistons can hold water a little bit. Speaking of wings, Brandon Ingram. yo, we talked about it. Brandon Ingram 2.0. He kind of dropped the hint that the best of him is yet to come. I'm not putting words in his mouth. That's basically what he was saying, that he's not where he wants to be right now. He gives himself grace. He expected to be an all-star, but he didn't expect to be an all-star. He was wanting it, but he didn't need it. He's got a chip on his shoulder because he was a replacement all-star. This is still a dude who sees himself as a top 25 guy. And I was looking at his splits against some of the better teams in the league, and you can really, really feel that he has another gear, that he brings it against good teams. I would be very curious to see how much he shows up tonight against the Detroit Pistons. I have a feeling he's going to go off. And I have a feeling he's going to go off because this is a very prideful individual. Everything that I described, right? In that this is what I support, this is what's good for the league, etc. Brandon Ingram embodies a lot of that. He's extremely selfless. He has bought in defensively in a way I have never seen him. I don't care if the analytics measure it because or reflect it because I'm watching it. I've watched enough Brandon Ingram through LA and New Orleans to tell you this guy has never been associated in my mind as a positive defender ever. He has at best been neutral. There have been so many games this year where I could really say he saved 2 possessions back to back. He's trying to do the right things, and that's all I can ask from you. You know, it's the same thing with Grady. There's some nights where he's just lost, but he's also got no motor. But there's some nights where he's got the motor, he's turning guys' hips in the backcourt, and he's coming at them. He's just getting blown by because he's too aggressive and he doesn't have the right technique. Brandon Ingram is not a gifted defender by any means, but he is bought in defensively, and he is definitely standing on his nuts because in the offseason, he delivered an interview where he talked about the summer league team that he was watching and how great they were defensively. And when he talked about that, he said, "This is a really good defense, and I'm not coming to mess that up." And he brings that up. He's brought that up now 3 times in 3 different interviews. So I believe that the next Ingram 2.0 is going to be a better shooter. It's going to be a more assertive driver. Is going to make a more focused effort to get to the line. Is going to optimize his shot diet to include a few more threes, not killing the mid-range because the mid-range component is very important. He must retain that at all costs. Don't let anybody tell you mid-range shooting is not important. It is his gift, and he must refine it. But the most important thing that I think is going to emerge over the next half of the season, I believe, is he's going to learn to trust his teammates more. He's going to get off the ball quicker. He's going to be a little bit better off the ball. I think he's going to have a little less toll on his body because Trace Jackson Davis, again, godsend from the Golden State Warriors, is going to save his, legs a little bit, having to box out bigger players. He's having to do that a lot. And I genuinely think that Brandon Ingram is going to have a very, very positive second half of the season if he can stay healthy. NBA expansion's coming. Vegas, Seattle, potentially Albuquerque, according to Ox, but I doubt it. Kansas City is another one that could be. Vancouver, Nashville. There's a lot. Mexico City, I think I mentioned. Kansas City. There's a few cities, but the 2 prohibitive favorites are Seattle and Las Vegas. Now, Las Vegas is obvious, very obvious. The league is in bed with casinos. They love sports betting. Everything's about sports betting now. Makes me fucking sick, but that's where it's at. Vegas is going to be it. The league has already run their summer league in Vegas for years. They already have a great institutional understanding of that city. So I think Vegas is a pretty obvious thing. And obviously, Vegas is very rich. They're able to give that money. They're able to build the infrastructure, and they're going to build it all around gambling. I would hate to be a player that is drafted to Vegas. That city will ruin your life. Seattle, the best story. I've wanted a team back in Seattle for a really long time. Obviously, as a Canadian, I would love for Vancouver to get this second city, but either way, these teams are going west, which means a few important things for the Toronto Raptors, and none of them are good. Number one, it means that one of those teams that are kind of west but kind of east are going to come east. That could be Minnesota. It could be Memphis. Either way, you're adding a better team to the Eastern Conference, and I don't think the playoff format is going to be adjusted to more than 8. So that means you go from having to be one of the best 8 teams or one of the best 6 teams to avoid the play-in out of 15 to one of the best 6 teams out of 16. So I think it's going to get harder, as evidenced by the fact that the Celtics pretty much ran through the league when there were 8 to 10 teams in the league. More teams, more competition dilutes the talent pool. Speaking of diluting talent pools, though, the league expansion draft is very interesting because every team can protect up to 8 players, and a maximum of 1 player can be picked. So the pool is going to be every player that's not protected. And if you're the Toronto Raptors, this could be a little bit scary. If this happens next year, think about this current roster. You're obviously going to protect Scottie Barnes. Now, I've seen a couple expansion drafts in my life, so I understand how these things sort of work to the point of understanding who you protect, who you strategically leave open. Right now, just look at this roster right now, the Toronto Raptors roster right now. I'm not sure you would protect Grady Dick, but you have to protect Jacoby Walter. You have to protect CMB because those guys are going. So this is an asset valuation thing. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure you protect Jakob Poeltl. I'm actually positive you don't protect Jakob Poeltl because if they take him, good riddance. But that also means you're leaving yourself vulnerable to losing very large parts of your roster. You may choose to leave Brandon Ingram unprotected, thinking they won't take him. But if they take him, there goes your shot creator, and you don't get anything back for him. There's a lot to think about when it comes to league expansion, in my opinion. But the most important thing here from the Toronto Raptors perspective is the draft, right? Obviously, if you do get a couple of young players next year that you super believe in, you're probably going to have to leave guys like Grady, Jonathan Mobo. I don't know. Like, how many players can you protect? You're definitely protecting Scottie. You definitely protecting Jacoby and CMB. Are there 5 more players on this team that you must protect? Right? Are there 5 more players? This right here, he's gone. He is going. Oh my goodness. Report: Walker Kessler and his agent believe he's worth much, much more than $25 million per year. Well, Walker Kessler's agent, you are not right. What? The Spurs have released Jeremy Sohan. Yo, Raptors, sign him right now. Sign him right freaking now. Make up for that Jakob Poeltl thing. I'm not even arguing that Jeremy has been some beacon of positivity, and Lord help me, like, I know people are going to be like, oh my God, he sucks he sucks offensively, he can't shoot, whatever. Jeremy's a good player, yo. He's a good defender. I would sign him. I would sign him like right away. I would sign him. This is a young talent. I'm not even agreeing with where they picked him. Ironically, he is being released because Carter Bryant is taking a step, and they probably prefer to, get some playoff reinforcements, or maybe they're doing Jeremy a favor because they know he's not going to play. So I would sign him personally, but that's just me. I would sign him. Medved Ted said Mobo will be the first to go. Well, I love Jonathan Mobo. I think Jeremy Sohan is like similar level prospect. Maybe a little bit younger, maybe a little bit better. I don't know if Jeremy's younger than him. Anyways, the point here is if you are the Toronto Raptors, you will have to think about this before the expansion draft, which means if you do end up with, I don't know, let's just say Trace is a rotation guy for you. Let's just say you sign Sandro to a team-friendly deal. Now you've got Scottie, Jacoby, CMB, Trace, Sandro. That's 5. Your first round pick next year is presumably going to be in this list. That's 6. Grady, if he pops off, that's 7. If you hit any other player, Brandon Ingram, let's say Ingram's 8, that means you leave IQ exposed, you'd leave RJ exposed, you'd leave Jakob exposed, you're leaving Jameson Battle exposed. I'm telling you right now, one of your dudes is going. Like, there's no way you're not losing one of those dudes. So this is just the way I'm thinking about it right now. And if I was the Raptors, I'd start thinking about this early so that I don't get caught with my pants down, which means that I would probably start filling out my roster. I would start consolidating because I've been arguing that the Raptors desperately need to consolidate Grady, Jacoby, Mobo. There's so many of these guys. And I'm just like, yo, get one, get Case and Wallace and parse out a pick or something. I think the Raptors need to consolidate. They have a lot of middling depth. And quite frankly, if you lose a Jacoby Walter or Grady Dick in an expansion draft, you just lost a first round pick for absolutely nothing. So that's not good. Let's get to the players' choice super chats. I think that's what's next up here, and then there is something else after. These were the super chats. Unfortunately, the show went off air. So unfortunate that the show went off air because Ox decided to pull out. He pulled out a take from his ass that Cooper Flagg was better than Victor Wembanyama, which is so insane. He's so not even close God damn, I'm not even sure Cooper is the best rookie. I'll give it. I would give him rookie of the year, but I'm not feeling great about it. I think Khan's amazing. Wemby is like a top 6 player, man. What are we doing? So, anyways, the show went off air because Ron spazzed out, and it left all these super chats, and I genuinely felt bad because this has happened multiple times now. And if I'm on the show, I feel like I have a responsibility to answer these super chats. I understand this was not technically on my show, but hey, and some of these are going to insult me, so whatever. Let's get to this. Rube I became a new member of Players Choice. Shout outs to you, Jeffrey Two Pet. Tatum, a left foot jumper. He tore his right. Doesn't affect jumping, brah. Do your homework. That's a good point. I really didn't think about that at all. And that's a really fair point. And I'm very sorry that, the 2,000, 3,000 people who were in there or 1,500 people did not get to hear that because that's a really good point, Jeffrey. That's great. There is some ignorance about the injury because once the Achilles is healed, it is healed. Now it is about clearing mental hurdles and shaking off rust. I completely agree with this. 100% this is true. I don't think it's a re-injury risk at all. Me personally, I think the biggest risk coming back from an Achilles is a compensation injury where you tear your ACL trying to protect your Achilles. It is a mental hurdle. JT, when he comes back, the Jonathan Frazier said, JT, when he comes back, should look to play that role that LeBron played in the 24 Olympics. Swiss Army knife, do everything forward to finish his plays and does some, but not a ton of playmaking. I disagree. I think he should play that role, but I think he should do a lot more playmaking. I think the next metamorphosis of JT's career should include a singular jump up in box work, like a level up in box work, a level up in playmaking, and I would say a level up in jump shooting. That would be, in my opinion, I would think that would be the best for Jason Tatum in his evolution as a basketball player. And I think that would potentially, as I said today on the panel, I think that could result in a second, maybe Hall of Fame career. The Teddy Hart said, did y'all go over the smack on the wrist suspensions yet from the scuffle? They did. NP134 said, just saw those suspension numbers. Adam Silver is really sad. David Stern would never be this soft with the rules. Honestly, I've never really hated on Adam Silver for being pro player. I genuinely appreciate the fact that he treats the players like, I think there's an extreme example, right? They're both extremes. Stern treated players like they were students, and I didn't love it. Dictating, league dress code and all that stuff. That being said, I vastly prefer David Stern's NBA, especially when he loosened up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like later on, he loosened up a little bit as we transitioned from David Stern. But the Adam Silver NBA is the wild, wild west. The NBA is progressively getting more into gambling, scandals, load management. Games don't matter. Everyone is making like crazy amounts of money and there's no consequences for anything. So to me, David Stern is that like overbearing parent who tries to micromanage every decision you make. And Adam Silver is like a fucking hippie. I don't know why. I'm personally praying that if I have children, that they will grow up in an NBA with a moderate commissioner. You know what I mean? The All-Star game, this is Just Flu, said the All-Star game should determine home court for the finals. I don't even see how you could possibly implement that. Ben Wallace did not start that. M. Reiki 123 said Ben Wallace did not start that. Pacers even said that Ron went after Ben to foul him intentionally because of something that had happened a year before. Yes, Ron Artest did foul him because the Pistons and the Pacers back in 2004 had an intense rivalry. None of that means that you should jump out of your seat. Like, look, I've always been pro Ron Artest in the Malice in the Palace debates. Always. The dude was literally trying to meditate on the table and someone threw a drink at him because they saw an opportunity to get away with something really sneaky. And quite frankly, if it were up to me, if I was the NBA commissioner at that time, personally, I would have been a lot more lenient on Ron Artest and a lot harsher on that fan. That being said, David Stern always thought, what does this say about the league? When David Stern inherited the NBA under his lead, the NBA had drug problems, they had gambling scandals, they had, reputation issues. And a lot of those reputation issues stem from institutional racism and beliefs that the league was too black or whatever. But that being said, the face of the league through David Stern's NBA was Michael Jordan. It's not like he propped up some random white guy to push him front and center. No, he rode Michael's coattails to the best success the league has ever seen. So, yeah, I just think fans need to chill. Like that's my honest to goodness opinion on the Mouse and the Palaces. Fans really need to chill. Fans cannot be talking so much shit to players. I think people are so used to talking shit to players. Like guys like Kevin Durant make himself so available on social media where KD will clap back and forth with fans. Dude, going up to Russell Westbrook's face and saying some of the shit that people say to him. Kingsley saying Dennis Jenkins career high tonight. Damn, no faith in Jamal Shed at all, huh? None. Dennis Jenkins is a really good player, yo. I really can't believe how good he is. I totally off my radar. As many victory laps as I want to run on my scouting, I completely missed this dude. Completely did not see this coming at all. Urgu, Boss Man. Damn, how does Ron read these names? Is it Uruguay? Or no, it's not Uruguay. Damn, we finding out I can't read in real time. Okay, only America cares about the All-Star game. I don't think that's true. I have friends and family in Serbia that care about the All-Star game or used to care about the All-Star game and care about it anymore. Misenko G said, please stop bringing up the dunk contest. Laugh my ass off. Kobe won a contest so bad it disappeared for 3 years. Well, that's definitely not what happened. There were extenuating circumstances for why it's like he didn't win it so bad. I think that's just very, very bad telling of, I would love to go back and really research why the dunk contest didn't happen for that many years. I'm sure there is a very sensible answer, and the answer is not Kobe Bryant destroyed the dunk contest. Cell Talks Too Much said, Ron, I've seen that setup before, you freakazoid. Oh, so Ron was getting busy, huh? That's why the stream had to end. Prompt. The girl knocked on the door. She said, Ronald, and he ended the stream immediately. Kareem Miles said, can't believe y'all let Ron do panel from the Diddy suite. I guess he gets a pass because his team finally won something. I mean, that's just straight hating, huh? Mr. Burnout said, a missing aspect in all of this is that I think fans would be okay with LeBron doing dunk contests and just doing tomahawk dunks all day. Dude, let me tell you something. If LeBron James goes out there and does a reverse layup, he would win a dunk contest just on buzz alone. Yonix, whatever. Penn wrapped up Yapper of the Year halfway through the season. He really liked that. Well, I am the Victor Wembanyama of the chat because, we're the Scottie Barnes against the Indiana Pacers of PC. Drink more water, MIL. If people are going to blame Bron for the lack of all-star game intensity, those same people need to blame Jokic and Luka for their lack of interest. Fair. And if this league was going in Jokic and Luka's hands, I'd be equally concerned. But it's not. It's going into Anthony Edwards' hands. It's going into Victor Wembanyama's hands. Look, every single player has had positive and negative impact on the game. I think LeBron has motivated players to take care of their body better. I think LeBron has motivated players to feel more comfortable being social advocates. For better or worse, some people hate it, but some people love it. And I think LeBron has been at least partially responsible for that. I think LeBron has motivated player empowerment in a really major way. He's motivated this idea that a star can go up to their team and dictate the terms of engagement, that they can move around like that. And some players are great at it. Some players should do that because their organizations suck, right? And some don't. Some are really bad at it. Okay, there's a lot of players that have completely screwed themselves, and ironically, it's probably LeBron's greatest curse because in some senses, he probably should have backed off and shouldn't have meddled as much as he did in the front office, and the whole GM stuff and getting guys traded has probably hurt him as well, but it's helped him as well, and he's held his front offices and, incompetent front offices. And I always think to myself, if I could play out LeBron's career again, wouldn't it be great if he didn't go to Cleveland? What if he'd come to, I don't know, a good organization? What if in 2009 or 2010, he'd come to the Toronto Raptors? Just saying. I don't know. And in 2011, he'd get Masai Ujiri. Brian Colangelo was a pretty stand-up dude. Maybe not. Maybe Spurs. Maybe if LeBron could have played under RC Buford and Greg Popovich, he'd be a different person. And I think that probably would have been the best thing for the league. But of course, the league got to put LeBron where there's a lot of people. Tim Duncan, it was never Tim Duncan's league. I'm sorry. It was never Nikola Jokic's league. I think Jokic and Shea could be the best players in the world, but they're not going to have the cultural influence. You could argue it was Steph Curry's league, but I don't think he ever really took it from LeBron. I think LeBron was just such a domineering figure in the space that it just didn't matter. Even when Steph was winning championships, it was still LeBron's league. He was still the best player in the league. And I feel like under Michael's league, certain things became very common, and I think he adopted some of those ideas from Larry and Michael, Larry and Magic and Dr. J and guys that he grew up watching. And I'm gonna tell you, if you think I'm lying, that the 1992 All Star Game was more intense than the 2022 All Star Game, why don't you go and watch highlights from both of them? Why don't you just go watch the whole game? I'm sure they're available somewhere. Go watch them and tell me, guys, weren't a little bit more intense, didn't care a little bit more, had a little bit more pride, guarded a little bit harder. I'm not even saying the players are better. I'm one of the most pro today player positive people on the panel. I might be one of the most pro today is better than yesterday people in a long time in basketball coverage. I really don't think that basketball players today are worse. I just think they're softer. I think they have worse standards, and I think they have bad mindsets towards competition. And that's why I support Scottie the way I do, Wemby the way I do, Carter Bryant the way I do. Frankly, I respect any player who avoids the trap of falling into this idea that I'm more of a celebrity than an athlete. You're more of an athlete than a fucking celebrity. Okay, this is going to be very, 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 very off topic, and please bear with me and try not to troll me too hard. There is a porn star named Sasha Grey, and she said the reason that I didn't fall apart like all the other porn stars was because early on in my career, someone said, "You're not a rock star, you're an athlete." Now that's messed up in a lot of ways if you think about the industry and all that stuff, and you might think, "Hey, yo, what the hell are you saying?" But think about what we're talking about. Your body is your temple. Don't be putting, 16 cognacs in it and putting drugs in it. That's how these adult performers end up dead at 25 and 26 and bloated and fat and frankly washed. Like you see somebody enter that industry at 21, by the time they're 25, they look like they're 45. And there's a reason for that because the rock star lifestyle is bad for you. The athlete lifestyle is great for you. LeBron has decided to treat himself as an athlete, which is great. He puts $1 million a year, allegedly, into his body. He has also tried to treat himself as a brand entity. And I'm supportive of that because I'm B1 all the way. And so I believe that it is a great thing that LeBron has elevated guys like Mav Carter and Rich Paul with him. It's great. But a lot of things that people complain about today are pretty much directly a result of LeBron. Super teams, that's a LeBron thing. Load management, that's a Kawhi thing. That's a Raptors and Kawhi thing. We'll take that. Too many threes, that's not a LeBron thing. That's more like just an era thing. That's maybe more of a Steph thing, D'Antoni thing, Harden thing. The too much flopping, grifting, that's probably more Harden. So maybe it's the correlation is not causation thing. And maybe I'm blaming LeBron for shit that happened on his watch. But that's kind of the point. You're the parent. You're the guy that everyone's looking to. You let all this shit happen on your watch. Michael didn't let this shit happen on his watch. Or maybe I'm romanticizing it because I'm a Michael Jordan stan. Maybe there's a lot of things that happen on Michael's watch, like things that I don't even remember because I don't want to remember them. It's possible. I don't know. Seneg 561 said, my problem is for 10 to 15 years, when players say Kobe inspired them, you use it to downplay LeBron's influence. But when something negative happens, suddenly LeBron is the league's biggest influence. So here's something I wish I could have explained on the panel. And this is important. Influence comes in waves of popularity and trend. I believe that when LeBron was ascending as the best player in the league from 2005 till 2015-16, that I believe that a lot of players looked up to him because he was the young guy in the league. Today, I believe, think about it this way. Jacoby Walter just came into the league. Who's he looking at? Who's he looking at? He's looking at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right? Carter Bryant just came into the league. Who's he looking at? OG Anunoby. We tend to look at guys who are 6 to 7 years older than us. When I was coming up, I was looking at Allen Iverson. Any coincidence? He's a guy who's young. He just came into the league. He's young. I'm young. I'm looking at him to fix my handle. Okay, cool. I was looking at Kobe Bryant. I was looking at Allen Iverson. I wasn't looking at Michael Jordan to figure out how to play basketball. I'm sure my father, or maybe if I had a majorly older brother, they would have been looking at Michael Jordan. It wasn't like that though. Why am I going to look at a guy who started playing basketball professionally 4 years before I was born? Like, that's not going to happen. So I think LeBron's influence genuinely is mainly on guys who were drafted between 2002, 2003 till about 2011, 2012, 2013. That group, maybe 2015, 16. So we can say from 2003 to 2016, every single player who was drafted probably saw LeBron James as that dude. Okay. The guy to pattern after, the guy to watch, and he's successful. You should mimic success. You should. You'd be stupid not to. I'm sure if your friend, your best friend, or a close friend in your life told you that they were making $300,000 a year and you're sitting there making $30,000 a year, you're going to ask that person what they're doing. I'm sure if you have a fat friend and you're fat and they're fat, and then suddenly you meet after 3 months and they're not fat anymore, you might ask them what the fuck they've been eating. I think it's normal to want to mimic success, to understand success. LeBron has been the most successful basketball player in the finals almost every single year, the most money, the most brand deals, the most wealth, the most marketing, the biggest sneaker deals. Why would you not want to mimic him? However, something weird has happened in LeBron's watch, which is that the players between 2017, so right after Kobe left the league, and 2025 seem to value Kobe more. It's almost like they've kind of rejected LeBron and gone towards Kobe. You see this with Tatum. You see this with Shea. You see this with Wemby. You see this with Scottie. How many of these people told you Kobe was their favorite player growing up? Now, why is that? Why was Kobe their favorite player growing up? Maybe because when they were 8 years old, I mean, like, let's just do the math on this. Scottie said Kobe was his favorite player growing up. Let's just do the math on this. Scottie Barnes literally lived in the city LeBron came to. I mean, quite literally. Miami, West Palm Beach, stone's throw away. So Kobe, understand, Scottie is a Florida kid who had LeBron come to his city when he was 10 years old, win multiple championships, and he's a Kobe guy. I think people saw LeBron, they saw Kobe, and just decided that the marketing and the messaging of Kobe was better. I think that they saw that toughness, resilience, Mamba mentality, which in and of itself became a brand, this competitive fire, wanting to kill people, wanting to destroy people on the court, was vastly preferable to the Banana Boat Club and the decision. I think LeBron destroyed his own influence. He could have been the most influential athlete in the world. I don't think he is. Sorry. He can be the most successful. He can be the best. And he has been the best. I think LeBron peaked significantly higher than Kobe. I think LeBron's a better player than Kobe. I think LeBron had a better career than Kobe. And it's not that close. I had Kobe as the 11th, 12th, 13th, or 14th best player of all time, and I currently have him 10th. I have LeBron second. Being better than someone doesn't mean you're more influential than somebody. There are influential billionaires in this world like Oprah who have way less money than billionaires you've never heard of. Okay. There's influential billionaires like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos who have way more influence than people who have slightly less money, but maybe have just almost as much money. My point is, influence is based on the TikTok reels, the Instagram shit you follow. Do you know how many Kobe motivation reels there are on explaining his mindset? Do you know how many of those things and how many of these kids grew up idolizing that desire to not want to team up? Kobe set a great example for the next generation, not in all things, chasing away your teammates, generally being a pariah, but by the end of it, I'll give you one more thing, a tidbit that I wish I could have shared on the panel, but sometimes it's hard to talk on the panel because people will be screaming over you. You say one thing wrong. Kobe spent a lot of his last few years, uh, last few years in the league, also post retirement, spent a couple years post retirement before his passing, really rebuilding his relationships with the next generation, doing camps, making sure that he was giving back. And frankly, let's just be real. I'm gonna be real about this. I don't want to lie about Kobe because he's passed away, and I'm not gonna lie about a dude who's passed away. I think Kobe was an asshole, like a complete, utter jerk to most of his teammates. Everything I've ever heard about Kobe was he was a pariah, he was stubborn, he was temperamental, he was moody, he didn't talk to people for a long time, but he won. And that's important too. He won and he worked insanely hard and he has so much charisma and natural, the storytelling around Kobe is so great. He worked his way into this. He had that huge trial. It was not that A whatever word, according to the trial. So I think a lot of people held something against him that wasn't entirely him. Shaq had issues with a lot of teammates. It wasn't just Kobe, but I think the marketing around it was that Shaq was the victim in all of this. And look, Kobe winning those next two championships, all the way up to Dear Basketball, I think had a very massaging impact on rehabbing the asshole image. And he kind of repackaged asshole into Mamba mentality. And I think that Mamba mentality is what players have gravitated towards. I don't want to be friends with you. I don't want to be buddy with you. I don't want to train with you. I don't want to take it easy on you. I want to guard you. Why? Because Kobe guarded Michael. And that's what I'm trying to say. You can argue that LeBron is greater than Jordan if you want, because he scored more points and he played longer. Cool. Great. Played in a harder era. You can do that all you want. I'm not going to have a conversation with you. You can do it. I'm not going there with you. Okay. You cannot argue that LeBron is more beloved by current players. And what is beloved becomes what is modeled after, in my opinion. Again, more. There's one play in NBA circles that defines why people believe why LeBron ruined the All-Star game that y'all are missing. It's not about stats. I don't understand this. I'm sorry. New member, Almighty Lambo. Shout outs to you. W Ron, W Seahawks, JSN is better than Jamar and JJ. Don't follow football closely enough to even give you an opinion on that. Astro Boy said Wemby scores 40, but also cleans up defensively on the other end. The gap widens, and then he doesn't need to stay in the game. Facts. They were up like 35 points. It was ridiculous. Nick at Night said, W girl dad Damo. Yes, Damo did bring his daughter onto stream. Shout outs to Damo, man. I've criticized Damo in the past. I think one time I said like it'd be great, he's such a great entertainer, but he doesn't have good basketball takes because he called Scottie Jeremy Grant. I will say this. As I have worked on my own craft of becoming more entertaining, I have learned to appreciate that in others as well. And I've realized that because I don't have it, maybe I was just salty that someone else could be so charismatic. Damo is naturally hilarious. He flows perfectly. He has maybe questionable basketball takes sometimes. Wemby, greatest player he's ever seen. I don't agree with it, but whatever. I just think he's really good at what he does. And what he does is streaming. And he's awesome at it. Crazed Sean said, beware of false prophets, preacher, pastor, Ox. Ox says that about me too. He's like, beware of false prophets. Well, you just told the internet that Victor Wembanyama was worse than Cooper Flag. Maybe you the false prophet. Yeah. Damo and his Lonzo Ball take, haha, didn't age well. What did he say about Lonzo? I don't remember. Also, you can't say Kobe did not are because they settled. Well, that's fair. I'm not a lawyer and I didn't see the fucking tape. But there's a potential that they settled for a different reason, right? Oh, what is going on here? And what did Kobe do to Kwame? Is it me, or are you the same person who was telling the PC comment section that I was going to have to pay $50 if I wanted a response from you, Jordan and Mars naps together? Did I not just read your bullshit like an hour ago? Am I crazy? He said the only reason the Cavs lost the Raptors that one game is because of the one thing, Lonzo Ball. But the way he said it was cinema. That's exactly it. And it's something that I'm learning a lot in life, which is it's not necessarily what you say, but it's how you say it, right? Um, I'm just learning that. I mean, I've heard it, but it's one thing to hear it, it's another thing to learn it. And I'm just learning that, very often in life, I'll say something that's maybe not right, but I say it in a way that people just hate it. Fred VanVleet, I'm sure there was plenty of ways to say that Fred VanVleet was not a playoff number one, or he wasn't worth the investment, or that Nick Nurse was toxic, or that Pascal Siakam was not a number one. There's probably a funny way to say it. There's probably a charismatic way. I didn't know how to say those things. I was just like dry as hell. And I'm just like, this guy sucks. And I guess that's how you alienate like half the fan base, right? LeBron wore a dress, not my goat. Hey man, love is love. I don't know. I'm not gonna get mad at somebody for wearing a dress, but I will say this. I mean, I'm not a representative of the Black community. I don't identify as Black in any way whatsoever, but I have heard a lot of, Black actors say there has always been a push from white people to get Black actors to wear dresses for some reason. People were really mad when Steve Urkel wore a dress in the early '90s to dress up as Myrtle Urkel. Apparently, Jaleel White didn't seem to care about it too much, but I think a lot of people were really mad at him. I think was it Chris Rock? Chris Rock cross-dressed as well. There's a lot of people who cross-dressed. I don't know what the hell it is, man. White executives in Hollywood really love dressing Black men up as women, but yo, doing it yourself, hey, power to you. Martin Lawrence, Dave Chappelle. Yep. Dave Chappelle. Yeah, Dave Chappelle was like, nah, I'm never gonna do that. I'll never do that. And then he did it. And then he did it. But hey, man, that's a completely different conversation for another day. Anyways, I'm gonna catch y'all later. Where did that Jordan guy go? What Jordan guy? Nadeem saying, Rob, what is your favorite movie at Penn Dance this year? That's a good question. I think my favorite movie is actually a short. It's called Vultures. It's really good. It's really good. Tickets are on sale for Penn Dance. Passes are on sale for Penn Dance. It's going to be great. There is a gala on March 1st at Penn Dance at Nickel 9. Tickets are on sale for that as well. Food, drinks, very nice, very catered, very beautiful music. Penn, this advertisement is great. Yeah, man. I figured using this, use the whole screen, man. Use the whole screen. People are always complaining, oh, your background is so drab. Your background is so drab. Whatever. W plug. Hi there, it's me. Said I already purchased for me and my girlfriend. That's dope. That's dope. What did you end up getting? March 1st is her birthday. Rob, one more question. What's up? What's up, Nadeem? Do you think Grady bulking affected his shot? That's a great question. I have no idea. I'm not his trainer. I haven't talked to his trainer. I would love to talk to Grady's trainer, mainly to be like, what the fuck are you doing? No, I'm just kidding. Grady's cool, man. I genuinely have no idea. I think the Raptors have misunderstood Grady tremendously as a prospect. Sometimes you can really misunderstand your own players. I think they've misunderstood Scottie and Grady significantly, right? Tygan Infect said, I saw a cool video about why the Raptors are doing well. Apparently, it's clutch defensive stats. Yes, sir. The Toronto Raptors are the best clutch defense in the NBA. They lock down when it matters. I really hope the Raptors don't embarrass themselves today against the Pistons. I am not ready for that conversation after all of my Cade Scottie hype over the last couple of days. I will tell you I've learned to take defeat in better graces, but I really, really feel like I'm not well slept enough right now to be dealing with like 40 trolls coming in from Detroit being like, dude, this is the dude you said was better than Cade. 12 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists is actually possible. Maybe that's why people think Cade is better than Scottie, because there's no way in hell Cade is putting up that stat line. But with Scottie, you just never know. But you pray You pray. Medved Ted said, Pistons about to get cooked. Well, you and Vegas concur. I frankly have no idea. I'm praying for a Raptors win right now. Beating the Pistons would be fantastic. It'd be a great note to go to the All-Star game. The Raptors apparently canceled their practice yesterday when everybody found out about Brandon Ingram. Yo, the fact that they couldn't even practice after they found out lets you know just how devastated this team was when he didn't make it. I'm telling you, because if something can make you this happy, like you see everybody posting about it, Jamal Shed posting about it, Mobo posting about it, everybody's posting about it. You can tell that because they're so happy that it finally happened for him, they were so bummed when it didn't. So obviously this team is rocking with Brandon Ingram. They're just like, you know what? And I feel like they would have felt the same way if Scottie didn't make it. I would like to believe that, right? Why'd the Raptors delete that video of BI finding out? I don't know. I think it's because Emmanuel quickly was getting trolled because his Gatorade bottle didn't open up. I have a feeling. It's just a feeling because people were just like, LOL quickly, LOL quickly. So to anyone who didn't see it, Emmanuel quickly tried to pour Gatorade on Brandon Ingram, but the bottle was closed. And so I think it was really funny. Tegan effect, in fact, said, I think Ingram being an all-star will make him buy in even more. I think he's already very bought in, but I certainly believe that you are right. I believe that soothing of the ego is very important, you know, and I think the Toronto Raptors maybe need to they need to adjust for this, but I think they have. Honestly, you hear Bobby Webster and how often he talks about pedigree, you know, trying to trade from good organizations, trying to trade players who've come through good coaching, right? Leonard Hamilton is beloved by the Toronto Raptors, and obviously Scottie was coached by him. They do appreciate this pipeline pedigree approach, right? To bringing guys in. Obviously, you know, Trace Jackson Davis coming from like how many of our players are ex Warriors, ex Spurs? Ingram is different because he's an ex Pelican and an ex Laker. And I think one thing that the Lakers under the regime that Ingram had and the Pelicans is they're notoriously cheap franchises. They're both cheap franchises that cut costs in a lot of key areas. They're both extremely mom and pop about the things that they run. I think that Brandon Ingram probably has severe trust issues dealing with organizations lying to him, misleading him, mistreating him, under, you know, like lowballing him and stuff like that. So I feel that the Raptors have had a bit of an uphill climb. And from a human perspective, trying to make him get past it. And the thing about, you know, anything, and this is something I was learning today, which I sent to my girlfriend, was that patterns, you recognize patterns. If you're a human being and you go up to a person and you come up too close to them and they turn around, they punch you in the face, that's a pattern. Your brain stores that pattern and it realizes that if I go up to people suddenly that I don't know, they might punch me in the face. It happens. It's very important in life to not wire bad patterns. Brandon Ingram has trusted his professional organization many times, and they have let him down many times. They have underinvested in him many times. Learning to trust again, learning to trust your coach. I mean, Willie Green was notoriously dragged as one of the worst coaches in the NBA for years. Okay. So just trusting your coach is a process. Darko is a very process based thinker. He is somebody who has always talked about taking time to build rapport with players, not barking orders at them. You don't know, and I don't know, but Ingram did mention yesterday that very often they don't even that there's been he was almost surprised when asked the question, I think by Grange, about like how this team would look. He said, actually, we really haven't talked about how this team would look. That to me says his role was never really defined for him. I think he's been given a green light to just be himself, to get happy again. And a happy Ingram, you know, there's certain players who are just incredibly good when they're happy and settled and at peace. Then there are certain players who are really, really good when they're pissed off, mad, and very motivated. I think Darko knows how to push the right buttons and find what motivates Brandon Ingram. Obviously, he's a very self-motivated individual, takes his craft very seriously. He is a good basketball player for a reason. He's a craftsman. He is somebody who, puts the time, the sweat equity, all that stuff. So you don't need to worry about him working on his game, getting his shots up, or falling out of shape. That's never been an issue with Ingram. And I thought if it was an issue with Ingram, frankly, I don't think they would have ever traded for him. So, whoa. What? Oh, damn. Nice one saying, rest in peace, James Vanderbeek. Oh, no. Damn. Dawson's Creek. Varsity Blues. Varsity Blues was my shit too, man. Shout outs to James Vanderbeek. I'm very sorry he died. He had a very big family. Very big family. I had a chance to meet him once. Yeah. He had a very big family. Was that the only person that was like I actually did watch a little bit of Dawson's Creek? No, I'm lying. I have the entire season 1 on DVD, yo. I did watch Dawson's Creek. I had a very big crush on Joey Potter. Only 48 is crazy. Damn. 48. That really makes you think. That really makes you think. So rest in. Oh wow. I don't even know. I didn't even know he had cancer, man. Damn. Percy Clot saying Raptors are cheap too, my friend. Not even close to the levels of cheap as the Bus organization and the Lakers and the Pelicans. I mean, they may not be the creme de la creme of the NBA. I'm sure there are better teams than the Toronto Raptors at taking care of shit that's important to players. But yeah, like no way in hell are you like telling me that a team that employs some of the people that Cast 2929. Yo, Rob, fun fact. I stay at the hotel next to the Carlton Cinema when I travel to see a Raptors game. Oh, that's dope. That's dope, man. Very cool. Very cool area, actually. All right. I'm going to talk to y'all later. I got work to do for the next 2 hours, and then I'm looking forward to watching Cade versus Scottie Cinema. Scottie really went at Evan Mobley the last time they played together, so hopefully he'll go at Cade as well. There was something said on the panel today, which is that you go hardest at the players that you are already friends with. Like if you're a real competitor. I hope Scottie goes really hard at Cade. Honestly, I hope Scottie drops 30. Okay, I probably shouldn't admit this. Today on the panel, they do the over under for the sponsorship, right? For the Splash Sports sponsorship. And I went Scottie under because I'm using the same logic as Mars. Because Mars goes under on the players that he really, really loves. That's, yeah. Cass saying, W content, Rob, you've been going crazy. Absolutely. Thank you very much. And honestly, I think like this format, if given a little bit more time, sometimes I'm rushing through this. I'm not like putting the video clips and all that stuff. I still haven't quite got the hang of like how to run a proper show. And I do wish that I had somebody back here, on the side or maybe in another room who could run the graphics for me and all that shit. Like a proper TV production. But I do think like over the next couple of months, you're going to see the production value go up. In fact, I read on Reddit the other day when Reddit was not being buggy about myself. They're just like, he's not a basketball analyst. He just has good production value. Good production value. I've worn the same hat and the same hoodie for like 4 straight years. Are you crazy? Train your girlfriend. Come on, man. Get your girlfriend to help you. She has a very high paying job. Okay. She has her own life. I do not enlist my girlfriend to help me with this. I do enlist my girlfriend to help me with pen dance, but I am not getting my girlfriend to help me with Pensare Basketball. All right. I'll talk to y'all later, man. Peace.